Well, you know what time it is.
All right, everybody, welcome to our 7 p.m. Sunday stream. This is where we go over the week news in automotive. We cover all automotive topics here, guys. Sometimes I let it cross over into cultural stuff here if it is related to automotive. But let's go ahead and start with the announcements, guys. Thank you guys for all the support. We've been growing, we've been building, we've been on a mission this year to break 5K subs. So, any help we can get in that, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you guys, if you want, please click the join button. For as little as $3 a month, you guys can become members of the channel. You'll get early access to content. Also, when I get some of the higher members in, we will be doing separate streams just for those members. So there are several different packages, I believe up to 6 different packages for you. But for as little as $3 a month, you can get early access to all the video topics for the week. We cover everything from news to basic work that we do on the cars here that I bring into my shop. You guys see the Tahoe behind me. We will be starting the Tahoe next week. I need to get into this Tahoe. I need to start getting things done in it, get it ready to give back to the customer. This customer is being very specific on what he wants done to it. So there's going to be a lot of stuff we are going to do to this truck. This will not just be a walk in the park, wham bam, thank you ma'am, get it done and out. This is going to be a deep dive on the 100K service. You guys see that topic down here. I left that up from last stream because that's what next week is going to be. We're going to start that 100K service right here on the channel. This past week, I did a 100K service, but the customer needed the vehicle back rather quickly. So let's transition over quick and I'll talk about this week's topic. So this week's topic, we did a 100K service on a 2016 Chevy Suburban. In a 100K service, we do need to go through this thing top to bottom and make sure that everything is straight, true, and ready to go. Fortunately, there are some services that do need to happen at 100,000 miles. Some of those we do at 150, some we do at 100. And I will cover all of those in next week's video, as well as what I've already covered in this past week's at the 3 p.m. that we did today. Let me scroll over. Oreo, good to have you in here, man. It's good to have my mods in. So yeah, we're definitely growing the channel, guys. We definitely want to reach a certain point by the end of the year. Kind of my goal. No idea where the others are. Yeah, it's been kind of slow today with everything that's happened in the news cycle. It's I knew the views were going to kind of taper off today, especially with the stuff with Charlie Kirk. So I knew that it was going to be a little slow on the news cycle. I had a conversation with Jay earlier during my 3 p.m. stream, so I got into some topics. I asked him some questions. We even talked about some off-topic stuff. It was kind of fun. I did really enjoy that. I might do that here with you tonight. We'll get through the main news topics before we do that. But yeah, I'm going to leave the 100K service up, but I am going to switch it over for this stream so that you guys do know that it is Full Throttle After Show. This is where we do our recap, cover the week in news for automotive. We do have some topics to cover. There has been some developments over the last week. One of them being solid state batteries for the EVs. And I know EVs, but when it comes down to it, if they can defeat the fuel mileage for average daily driver cars. I hate to say it, too many people are going to buy into them. The problem is we still don't have a power grid that can handle it. And this could be a rather big problem. There's going to be a lot of things that we need to pay attention to in the next 3 to 5 years. Car manufacturers, for some reason, are still pushing the EVs. Even though the current administration has rolled back the emission standards, some car companies are still cutting motor lines, still cutting vehicles, still cutting everything on the gas side. There's just too much push to force everyone into these EVs and forcing AI into cars. Just like the EV market, guys. I said a long time ago that EVs were a bad move. I'm going to now call it here. AI in cars is also a bad move.
You stupid.
And the reason that is because the more we become dependent on this, the less we actually learn how to do these things on our own. The less we learn how to actually drive a car, work on a car, maintain a car. We start ignoring everything that we should be paying attention to. And why? For comfort? For convenience? For something we can connect our phone to? Bad idea.
Bruh.
All right, let's pull up the news topics for this week. All right, we'll start at Motor Trend like we always do. All right. So, Gran Turismo 7 gets real with Dunlop tires, powers the GT series, and your next lap. So, they're really trying to push to get real world things into video games. They've been doing this for a long time. I remember how even some of the GTA stuff, they were really trying to make it very realistic. So this doesn't surprise me that they're going to be using this, especially since they're going to start putting AIs in a lot of these systems for video games. We're going to start getting better graphics, everything. This is not much of a surprise that they're going to make this very realistic for the people playing the games. I would argue that some of this is going to be overinflated, though. Some of the stuff we might see in that game might be stuff that happened a few years ago, and it's not going to give people the realistic view of what's happening in today's racing and how today's racing is not what it was way back in the day. Car manufacturers used to take a car to the track and test it there, and then they launched their cars off of that platform. Nowadays, they don't do that. They build the car, put it on the street, let us eat the cost of trying to figure out where the problems are, then they make a race car out of it. So they've completely flipped this upside down. And if a car manufacturer wants to get back to the basics, they should be flipping that script around and doing it the other way. Test the cars on a track, then make a street version that's reliable. Some of it is they don't care. And that's the hard part about it. And when people start caring about their cars and what they're buying, maybe then the manufacturers will have to start paying attention. All right, check chats quick. All right, we'll go back in. Tariffs will make Volkswagen cost nearly 7% more than they did last year. This is a hype piece, guys. The reason why this is happening to them is because they chose not to build in the US anymore. They want to import everything from overseas. If they want to import, they're going to wind up paying the tariffs. We as the consumers have to decide, do we want to pay for those tariffs? Or do we want to just buy American made? And honestly, at this point, if somebody is going to overcharge us on tariffs, we shouldn't be buying their products anyway. We should be boycotting the products that have big tariffs. This is really about consumers taking responsibility for what they're spending their money on. The reason I say this is when consumers choose to spend money on high tariff items, what they're doing is they're literally throwing their money away when 90% of the time they could find a local source for everything that they get. There are a few times, especially in the automotive parts industry, that we have to go with the OEM parts, which are sometimes shipped in from overseas. Not all the time, though. There are cases where these parts are being remanufactured and then resold here in the US. That eliminates the tariffs. So, the trick to this secret is knowing where to spend your money. If you're buying a car that has high tariffs, then the parts themselves are also going to have high tariffs. So we pay attention to these things so that we don't fall victim to it. Kia has a plant in the US, which means we build the Kia cars here. They don't have the tariffs. If we have to get parts from South Korea, price goes up. So, things to pay attention to for the future. Nissan halts their new EV imports to America. Again, this is all tariff related. They don't want to pay the tariff, so they're going to focus on the Nissan Leaf, which is built here in the US. The mini truck box thing. Guys, this is an SUV with an open back. Let me show you guys this. When I saw this, I was really frustrated about this vehicle because it's lazy. It really is. And the good news is, it's not going to come here. Bruh. That's the good news. So this thing is being built and sold in Romania. This is basically an SUV with a very, very tiny box. This box will catch water and debris and everything else. Now, they might make a tonneau cover for it, or they might make a top that covers this back. But honestly, if you do that, this is just an SUV. It's not a pickup. We can't classify this as a pickup because you're not going to haul simple things back there. The most you're going to haul is a bag of mulch or two. That's all you're going to do with this. This isn't a truck. Check chats. Yeah, Oreo chat is dead. Yeah, today was kind of a tough day. There was a lot of people online earlier on YouTube. A lot of people have logged off and just kind of taken a moment to catch. So yeah, it's definitely slowed today. I will probably wrap up the news and then I'll just chit chat with you here before I end stream. So I know I'm getting through the news pretty quick just because there isn't a whole lot of chat activity, but don't worry. Actually, I'll put together some questions while I'm finishing the news for you. I'll do like I did with Jay with you. So let's keep going on the news, and then after that, I'll get into some questions for you. Make sure everything's still going good. Awesome. Yeah, tonight is kind of a slower night. It was a really big day on YouTube. It really was. A lot of people have logged off. The Charlie Kirk thing was a 5-hour memorial service funeral. And it was pretty powerful. I did have a chance to watch some of the tail end of it. Um, yeah, it is a big deal. It really is. And hopefully we see a cultural shift in the country. Hopefully people wake up to the extremists that are been controlling our country for a long time. I know this is an automotive channel, but those same extremists are the ones that are pushing the EV. They really are. They're the ones driving this EV, AI, self-driving car garbage. And again, if we get rid of that part of it, we might get rid of the rest of it too. But it does take all of us standing up and talking about it, not being violent, not causing disruptions, not blaming people. We do need to call it out when we see it, and there needs to be consequences for what they say. If they're going to go to the lengths of threatening people with violence, they need to be called out. And that's where we are at in America. We really are. It needs to be a turning point. It is a turning point, and we have the opportunity to do something. If we don't, they will take over. They will eliminate everything that we care about, that we've worked for. It will all be gone. These people are radical socialists who would take everything from people that they don't deem as worthy. And that's not America. It's the same form of fascism that they're complaining about, which honestly, that's what my other channel is going to be about. There's a lot to set up with a new channel, and I'm going through the processes. It's going to take me some time. It's not something I'm going to be able to fire up right away. So I'm working on it. It's going to take some time though. Jump back into the news. All right, so I had a chance to skim this article, and I wanted to talk about it because this article really does hit to the heart of the issue when it comes to the batteries. So they're claiming to make these faster, further, cheaper, and safer advancements in the solid state battery packs. They're claiming ultra long life. Their claims are that these batteries, which have not been made yet, just know that these are what they're trying to work on. They're not out. This is all rumors, all speculation. Their numbers are best guess estimates. So these can't be taken as solid yet because they haven't really produced these and put these into practice. So their numbers are not going to be accurate. It's going to be way different once the battery is been produced. So they're claiming that the batteries are nothing exotic, that they're nickel, magnesium, cobalt in a 95.5% ratio, meaning that most of these batteries are probably either going to be the nickel or the cobalt, and then the nickel and magnesium or the magnesium and cobalt will be the 5.5. They're claiming that this will be a next gen battery that can discharge at 850 kilowatt hours versus the 824 that we currently have. This basically relates to 1140 horsepower versus 1105 horsepower. So a little bit more horsepower with the solid state batteries. Again, guys, this is all, and these are not real numbers. We have not seen this put into practice. It charges way faster from 10% to 80% in 6.5 minutes versus the 16 for the Evolution batteries. We do have the Evolution batteries out. They do fall short on the mileage. The reason they fall short on the mileage is because the batteries are not performing like they're stating. And here's the next big issue with batteries. So this is it retains 95% of its capacity at -4 degrees, which in the state I live in, that's not that cold. Where I live, it can get down to -25, -30, which will dramatically drop that battery percentage, meaning that it will not retain that percentage of capability at -30. It will not. We're going to see that probably drop down to 75, which is going to shorten the range and make it to where EVs are not practical. Next, they're stating that they're going to use the housing of thermoplastic to generate the AC and heat system for the vehicle, meaning that they can do what they call a refrigerant loop, and that helps with the cooling of the interior of the car. At some point, they've also played around with the idea of using the heat that comes off the battery to also heat up the interior. The problem is there's fumes that come off that battery, so trying to do that and filter out the toxic fumes from the batteries has not worked very well. That is a very failed project there. Here's where I think they are really, really giving us some false advertising. They're claiming super long life, long range batteries designed and built in Europe for Europe. Again, they're claiming that this will deliver a 12-year, 1 million kilometer or 621,000 mile service or 10,000 charges. Hold on. Pay attention to this 10,000 charge and discharge cycles. If you shortchange your mileage on it, just like a cell phone, what can happen is you'll actually damage the battery before you get these kind of miles out of it because you're charging and discharging it too quickly. They're basing this on full cycles, meaning going from 80% down to 10, then charging in order to get close to this mileage. If you charge it at 60% to 80, that's one cycle. And every time you do that, that's one cycle. That shortens the amount of miles that you can drive on this battery. This is what they're hiding in this piece of information. We need to pay attention, guys. This is how they're going to slide in, oh, look, it can get this mileage range. No, it can't. Because most people can't drive a battery down to 10%, make it back home and get it charged back up. This is the problem with the EV situation. They aim to prevent fire and smoke during thermal runaway. The problem with this is when you're in a thermal runaway, there's nothing you can do with the system. It's going to burn itself down. It's in the process of overheating. That electricity is discharging at a very rapid rate, and that gives off a tremendous amount of heat. So the fact that they're even stating this is just a bold-faced lie. Guys, I've broken down so much on EVs already that it's just not funny. This is a good example of me breaking down an article, showing you guys where the truth is and where the lies are. A lot of times these lies are how they're selling these products. And when we buy into the lie, we're buying into the product. So again, when people buy, they're believing the lie. And that's really what it takes. It takes us waking up, seeing what they're saying, what they're doing, and then choosing to say no, choosing to go in the other direction rather than believing the lies that they're trying to tell us. After 70 years, Ford will demolish their iconic glass house global HQ. This was in Dearborn, Michigan. They're going to demo it. They're going to rebuild it. And honestly, hopefully they'll have a whole lot less recalls than what they had before. Because right now their recalls are through the roof. Speaking of recalls, here we go. So, if you guys remember, I have talked in length when it comes to technology in vehicles. How the more we depend on these fancy gadgets and gauges, the more we start having issues. Right now, Toyota is recalling 591,000 vehicles to fix the digital dash display issues. Guys, this is what happens when we want fancy versus functional. Functional will work no matter what. Fancy will fail and they will have to issue a recall. Again, they're playing with Qualcomm using super chips, AI, helping spur Android OS. Guys, we don't want this in our cars. We don't want AI in our cars. Honestly, if we can hook our phones to it and play music, that's all we should be able to do with a car. We shouldn't be able to watch videos while driving down the road. Not only is it not safe, but it isn't even legal in the US. And when it comes down to it, we don't need this stuff in the car. All it's going to do is complicate repairs and make it to where it is way more expensive to fix that car because we're choosing the technology over the reliability. I've said this 1,000 times, guys. And we talked about the hot hatch for the Toyota Corolla. This was last week's. They showed the leak on it. Yeah, basically they're just leaking that they're redesigning the hot hatch for 2027. They're trying to appeal to a certain base to buy these cars. Basically, they want to take over the Subaru WRX market. And by making a car like this, they think they can compete in that world. Honestly, it's overpriced for what it is. But if you want one that's fully loaded, unfortunately, that's probably all they're going to give you. All right, check chats here. All right. Oreo, are you still in here, or did you... Just curious if you're still in. I've been thinking of some questions for you. I know some that I asked. Cool. Yeah, I remember some that I asked Jay today. I knew you guys played some video game stuff, so I will be getting into that here in just a bit. We're going to take a quick scroll through the Drive, which is another website that I use for news, and then I'll get into some video game questions for you. Since we did have a video game topic in the news today, we'll have some fun with that. Ford Mustang selling for a lot of money, big deal. Tuners are actually coming back, guys. Car tuners are coming back because the emissions restrictions have been lifted. We're going to see more tuning shops. We're going to see more deleting of exhaust systems. I actually have a guy that I work with that I do muffler deletes on vehicles. Currently, Big Red has a muffler delete on it. It's a little loud when I fire it up, but I like it. So, and LS Goat is definitely going to get a muffler delete. And I'm also going to do a bunch of other weird stuff to it. But I'll explain that once we get the car in here. And hopefully in the next month or so, I'm hoping to get it in here, start going through it, and start talking to you guys about this. Some of this is just, oh yeah, somebody's selling a turnkey business that they'll sell you. Basically, this looks like a salvage yard where they have quite a few classic cars. I see a Pontiac Trans Am, or yeah, it'd be a Trans Am here. There's a bunch of classic cars in here. There's a Firebird right there. So these are all classic cars that they're basically doing a turnkey business that they're willing to sell you. It's possible that they could have gone through ownership and maybe the current owners have passed away so that they're doing this. That's oftentimes when we see this stuff come up, it's because there is a bunch of rare classic cars in here. Just looking at this, I see a very rare Firebird right here. Another one right here. There is a bunch of rare cars in there. So they're hoping somebody will buy this and restore a good chunk of these and put these back on the road. Honestly, somebody might come in and buy it for scrap price, and they'll just scrap the whole yard and sell off the land. To me, that is a huge... But for the cost of redoing all of these cars, they would have to be in pretty decent shape in order for somebody to take a bite at it. So here Hyundai is considering building body on frame pickup for the US market, also considering an SUV as well. Body on frame is where they have a solid frame underneath the body. The vehicle we're looking at right here is the Hyundai Santa Fe. This is a unibody mini truck. Unibody means that this rear quarter panel is actually part of the frame of the vehicle. So when you take damage back here, what happens is you wind up totaling this vehicle out because it's structural to the vehicle. If this can't be restored back to manufacturer specification, they total it. So oftentimes these trucks get totaled for minor things. I've seen them get just minor dings and dents around the taillight lens, and they total it out because they have to buy a whole rear quarter panel in order to fix that because it's part of the structure of the truck. This is some of the reason that they're considering a frame on, meaning that they're going to put a body on top of a frame. This way, they can alleviate these from getting totaled out so much. We have an article that is rooted. I wanted to talk about this. This is one of my last topics for my news cycle today, guys. I had somebody call me out on one of my socials about Americans don't need to have trucks. And first of all, my thought was,
hell no!
and the reason I say that is because a lot of the European countries don't understand how big the US is, how much we haul, what we do with our trucks. Most of them live in apartment style buildings and they don't have to do maintenance and repairs on their home. We live in homes, much bigger areas. We need to haul things. A half-ton truck is standard in the US because we needed to haul things, boats, trailers, home improvement projects. All of this stuff is designed to fit in the back of a truck box. a lot of the projects that we do in our homes require to have a half-ton truck to haul them. So people from European countries have no understanding of this concept. So when they called me out, I was like, cute that you can talk about a topic that you know nothing about. Because I could quickly tell they weren't from the US. If they were, they would not have made the comment that they made. I wanted to bring this up because trucks are rooted in the American culture. It's how we have done 95% of the things that we still do today. And if we don't have the half-ton trucks around, if they replace them with EVs or they replace them with things that are not going to work, then we're going to notice a different culture in America. And maybe not a culture that we're going to want. We need to pay attention to this. Missing this could actually put us in a very bad spot and make it to where people are going to live in major cities and cluster together just because it's the only way that they can take care of what they have. And unfortunately, this is also going to stifle the growth of any small town. Now, I'm hoping that people pay attention and wake up and actually start doing the right things, but only time will tell with that. All right. Mike, good to have you in here today. Been a while. Good to see you again. Just clipped through our news cycle. Kind of finished off the last of the news. We didn't have a whole lot of people in here, so I had come up with some questions because earlier in the video, we had a topic on video games, mainly Gran Turismo 7, and how they're going to use very, very realistic manufacturers of car parts, one of them being Dunlop tires. So my question, and Mike, if you do play video games, you're open to answer this too. What's your guys' favorite video games? And I'll give you mine right after I get yours. Yeah, I keep missing your streams. New weekend gig for me. Second job. Yeah, my weekend gig, you guys get to see this on camera. So this is my weekend gig. I usually work on cars and chit chat with you guys a little bit. This past week, we did a 100K service on a Suburban. We're going to be doing a 100K service on this. We're going to be doing a 100K service on Big Red that's outside. So we've got a lot coming up, guys. What, if you guys play video games, what's your favorite game? Gig job, coach to play operator. Nice. Nice. See, I'm only at 1 like. Guys, hit that like button for me. Bring that stuff up. Trying to get my YouTube stream to catch up. It's being kind of weird. I don't play video games much anymore, but I used to love Battlefield 3. Wow. That brings back memories, man. Some of mine, I used to play Super Mario Brothers, the original when it came out on Nintendo. Donkey Kong, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mario 3. Those were kind of my jams back in the day. Mortal Kombat was a big one that I played. Street Fighter was a big one that I played. Most recently was PS3. I don't have the PS4 or the 5. I don't play much on computer games anymore either. I just don't have a ton of time. As you guys can see, I run an automotive business. I got a daily job that I go to Monday through Friday, plus I have a family. I do try to take time throughout the week to have one day that I take as kind of a Sabbath or a rest day, and then I try to play video games on that day. It's been a couple weeks since I've been able to. I'm hoping to next weekend. So I'm hoping next Saturday I'll have a little bit of downtime and I can play a little bit more again. But yeah, as far as the most recent, probably Diablo 3. I've got one of every character maxed out. And yeah, I can one shot the end boss Diablo. There's 3 phases to his battle scene. I can one shot him through almost all of those scenes with any of the characters that I got. Oreo, what's your current favorite video game that you're playing? LOL, my mom used to play Diablo. Nice. I've played the original Diablo, Diablo 2, and Diablo 3. I refuse to play 4 just because 4 is all mobile. And I don't want to get into mobile games. I really don't. I don't have the time for mobile games. I do enjoy playing some of the old classics, Paperboy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat stuff. That's if I'm gonna play video games, I'm gonna go old school, just because that's what I grew up on and I enjoy doing that. But yeah, I kind of give myself away when I say the video game era that I grew up in. I am not a young pup. Kind of wish I would have kept my skills a little sharper over the years, but it's hard when you put yourself into work. And honestly, I made a lot of mistakes there. I put myself all the way into my work, and I worked way too much, and it hurt me in other aspects of my life. Again, I was talking to Jay earlier today, and for the longest time, I worked 7 days a week. I put myself all the way into work. I did everything I could to work. Um, it's taken a toll on relationships. It's taken a toll on family, and I'm trying to slow down a little bit now. I don't see the benefit in working all the time. It really has hurt some of the aspects of my life. I was thrust into it at a super young age. At 22 years old, I had a house, a shop, and a bunch of bills. After my dad passed away, me and my brother inherited everything, and there was a lot. I owned my first business at 25 years old. So I was a 25-year-old business owner. And it takes a toll on you. I would tell anyone who wants to get into business, you need to set time aside to slow down. You need to have one day off a week where you're not doing anything, where you can decompress, you can do something that's relaxing. Don't give yourself 100% to work. It's important to work, and it's important to work hard, but you also need to have that downtime. Otherwise, you burn out. Guys, I've almost burned out on my YouTube channel. I used to do clips like crazy. Um, I've got almost 500 clips on this channel. So I used to do a lot of clips. Yep, Mike, yeah. You don't realize it until it is too late. Yeah. You don't realize just how close you are to burning out until you're ready to just toss in the towel and walk away. And I was close with the YouTube channel a few years ago. I would say about 2 years ago. I was close to tossing in the towel. I've been at YouTube now for almost 7 years. 6 or 7 years I've been at YouTube. And yeah, I burned out. I was doing 3 clips a week. I was doing a full-length video. I wasn't doing the lives, so all my videos were pre-record, edit, and then upload. That took a ton of my time. And then trying to do the clips on top of it, I was burning out, and I was burning out quickly. You guys wonder why I might only do 2 streams a week and they're both on Sunday? It's honestly because I've burned out in the past and I don't want to do it again. I'm working on trying to keep to a set schedule for you guys so you guys know when I'm always on. 3 and 7 is what I'm locking in, and it's just what I'm going to do on the channel. Clips are going to be when I have time. If I don't have time that week, I'm not going to do clips. I know it's how I grow my channel, but I don't always have time to sit there and edit clips. And I don't have a clipper. I would love to get a clipper. I'd love to get somebody who would clip out videos for me and then post them up, and then to where I could share them on my site and actually get views. But that requires me finding somebody who's got the time and the talent to do it. But I definitely do not want to sacrifice my home time, my downtime to do any more with the channel. I do have to admit I have to give it what I can give it, and the rest is out of my hands. Mike says working 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Was more of a relationship killer for me. Yeah, it is, because you're working 14-hour days. That is a toll on anyone, and it takes a toll on relationships. Even if you were married and working those kind of hours, you don't have time for your wife. And we shouldn't have to work that hard in this country to be able to make it. We shouldn't have to. We should be able to make it on a 40-hour work week working an honest job. But between taxes and how much the government takes from us, we can't. And it shouldn't be to where we have to have our wives in the working field as well just to afford a home. And that is what's going on right now. That's the straight up truth of this whole thing. It's all done on purpose to trap everyone in debt. When the average home is $350,000, that's the average home. Now, some places are lower, most of them are higher. What this does is it traps you permanently in a debt cycle. These mortgages are usually 15 to 30 years, so you're going to be stuck working a job that you may hate just to pay for your house payment and all your other expenses. America is not really affordable to live in anymore. Now, might some of that change? If the tax incentives actually help us come 2026, when we file our taxes, we may see a difference. I am hoping that we do. I am hoping that we see a big difference and people can actually starting to be able to afford to live off of one income again. But I'm being optimistic, but at the same time, I realize the system that's been put in front of us. And honestly, it's happened because we've allowed these politicians in. We've allowed them to dictate what we drive, how we drive, what we eat, where we eat, all of it. It's all been manipulated. The reason our food is unhealthy is because we've allowed it to be unhealthy. We have put people in charge of us that don't belong being in charge of us. The state I live in, there's 2 horrible people running this state that need to be taken out of office. And I mean they need to be voted out. We can't keep voting these people in. That's the problem. Yeah, I do think those days are behind us as well. I try to have a little hope that maybe people will wake up enough and start realizing the system that's been built in front of us and fight back against it. But it requires people to have morals. And really, it's going to come from the younger generations to stand up and say, we're not going to do what our parents did. We're not going to be slaves to your system. You're not going to control us. You're not going to manipulate us. You're not going to tell us what to say. You're not going to tell us where to go. Because honestly, that's where we're headed, guys. It's dark to think about it this way, but if we don't start speaking the truth, if we don't start, confronting the evils that are in our face, this will continue. And it will only get worse. My second channel was going to be a deeper dive on all of that. Again, it's going to take me time to set all that up. There's a lot behind the scenes, guys, that I'm trying to do. That setup is, I'm trying to figure out how to stream to multiple sources. I'm working on different sites that I have to set up. Unfortunately, because a lot of that's going to be news and stuff, I do need to be on Twitter, which means I need to be able to monitor my Twitter sites. Again, that all takes time out of my day. And I have to be able to manage that time along with the time that I'm already giving out. So what I can do here is just tell people the truth and not lie to them. Tell people, if we don't start learning how to work on our own cars, if we don't start investing into the time to learn this stuff and be able to do this, choosing what we buy, it's all going to go away. And we will be trapped in whatever system gets put into place. The manufacturers are not on our side. I don't care who it is. Kia, Ford, Dodge, GM, it does not matter. The manufacturers are out for themselves, guys. I've said this a long time ago. When Ford said that they were going to have their self-driving cars repossess themselves, I knew we were in a ticking time bomb. It was only a matter of time before the cars would just do whatever they wanted, and we would have to deal with the fallout of it. Unfortunately, that is a massive. So yeah, it's dark to think about this stuff sometimes, but honestly, guys, we have to. We have to have these tough conversations. We have to tell people, that's great, you may not drive. But now think about all of your family members. And if you don't care about your family members, then I'm sorry that you're that heartless and cold. But you got to think about the others around you that have to live and survive. And if you're not willing to have difficult conversations with these people that have their head in the sand and who are believing the lies and propaganda taught in our public schools and in our colleges, then we will go down a much darker path than where we are today. Those conversations got to be had. Got to be had. We can't run from them. We can't hide from them. Because the minute we do, they're going to win and they're going to get what they want. Unfortunately, what they want is a very closed-off Marxist society, which is extremely dangerous to them, but they don't want to believe it. Instead, they're believing whatever lies are being preached to them. I know I got in deep into the weeds in the politics on this one, guys. But these are the conversations that do need to be had. And they do revolve around vehicles because the vehicles are going to be a form of control. When everyone's EV, AI, self-driving, that vehicle has now become a prison. Because they can just lock the doors and drive you wherever they want you to go. You're not going to have a say. And if you say something against their agenda, they'll take you right to the police station. You can't do anything because you can't drive the car. It becomes a prison on wheels. And I am fighting hard to make sure that doesn't happen. But at the same time, there's only so much one person's going to do. It's going to take everyone having these difficult conversations to snap people out of it. The more cars become self-aware, the less control we have over them. That's the big fact. So Oreo, you said you don't have a favorite. So like what video games are you like playing though? I'll get into this topic here a little bit before I head out. I remember in one of my streams you were talking about, was that an online game where you were putting a radio in a BMW? All right. Wonder if Oreo's still here. 4 people watching and 2 likes. We're at 50% engagement. Top fans today are Oreo and Mike. You guys are my top fans. You guys are actually technically tied for number 1 with 75 points each. Yeah, it's where we're headed in the automotive industry. I don't like the trends that I'm seeing. I see manufacturers going for their own, and we're going to be left in the fallout. The only way we're going to combat this EV stuff is just to not buy it and make them sit on it. We can't fall for the lies when we go looking for new vehicles. We can't trust that it's going to be a gas vehicle anymore. We have to find the engine. And if there is no engine, we got to walk away. No matter how appealing they try to make that sound. Awesome, awesome. Thank you guys for the likes. I really do appreciate that. It helps build the channel. Helps us to reach more people. All right, I'll give you guys a chance to chat in any finals before I go ahead and end this stream. You guys got anything else, chat it in down below. I'll read it on screen and we'll talk about it. I usually keep this stream to about an hour because sometimes I do have to get up early in the morning to go to work. So I don't take too long here. Usually my long streams, guys, are my 3 p.m. streams. The ones that I'm doing work. Sometimes I'm in the garage all morning. So I'll come out here Sunday morning and I'll just start working on a vehicle and I'll just keep going until it's time to stream. And then I jump in and kind of show you guys where I'm at and what I'm doing. But usually my 3 p.m. streams are my longest streams. This stream is usually about an hour where I cover the automotive news. And I do kind of recap the topic at the beginning of the show. So, all right, if you guys don't got anything, I'm going to go ahead, guys. We're going to go ahead and end it here. Thank you guys for tuning in to this 7 p.m. live stream when we talked a lot about the news, what's coming up in the EV market, things we need to watch out for, AI coming into vehicles, and honestly, what we need to do to kind of fight against some of this stuff that we don't want this stuff in cars. It's going to overcomplicate it, add more cost, and make it to where the average person can't afford to drive a car. We don't want this. We don't want our vehicles to become prisons. And how we can change that is change who we're voting for, change how our country is being ran, and speak up against the people that are trying to push this stuff. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you get notified when I go live, which is every Sunday at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Also, consider hitting that join button. For as little as $3 a month, you can become a member of the channel. You'll get early access to topics, and we do have some more benefits in our members area. As you look through there, there'll be about 6 different options. So depending on which one it is, depends on what benefits you get. Guys, thank you. And as always, guys, I'll see you on the next one.